Life is in the business of creating life. It is an unfolding process of creation as we move ahead. We see and then we don't see, and then we see again. Who is the catalyst of all this? We take meaningful leaps into uncertainty on a quest to create what matters to us, what inspires us, what moves us, what changes us. Where do creations come from? Is it silence, relationship, from what's wanting to emerge? Join me, John Davidson, on this learning journey, reaching into the creative process to find the places where creations come from. Who is the catalyst? Use your gift. It belongs to the world. Number 4, in the realm of passion. Where does passion come from? True passion comes from love. But there are two sides of love, receptive and generative. Most of us easily identify the receptive side, with the generative side not being something we often notice. And yet we create from this love. Follow your passion has become a popular cliche. It is a noble idea, but it is overused and dangerous. Following your passion is not creating what matters to you. They should be one and the same, but people do not hear the latter. They hear a rule or ideal. We look for passion in everything we are doing, like a forensic eyeball. Whatever does not evoke passion is weeded from the garden. The unintended consequences of this guiding idea to follow one's passion are what need to be explored. Strength focusing developed from this. We use focusing our strengths as a way to more easily handle what is difficult. Following a passion creates a temporary fix on what feels good, energizes, fulfills, satisfies. Creating should not be about satisfaction. There are as many bad days as good days. It takes practice, and even those with experience in the process find that the initial phases in the creative process involve looking like a fool. We despise discomfort, low status, embarrassment, humiliation, isolation, and the unknown because we seek the opposite. Passion becomes a pill to experience only what is positive. It's a coping mechanism to regulate stress, even to the point where we lie about our current reality to ourselves. We stay within strengths to make the work easier rather than work to find the necessary capacity that our creations require. For example, I may get a personal hit from playing the piano, but to create a different level of mastery, I must take actions commensurate with that aim, not what feels good or what satisfies me. If I only keep my motivation on satisfaction levels, then learning to play better piano will be fit around that, not what my end goal is that I seek to create. We misuse passion for shoving out the reality of our hardships and the unfavorable qualities that represent our starting points. Instead of generating resourcefulness, we use our passion for quarantining the pain and the risks, allowing the passion to decay and consume us. We pathologize the pain instead of making contact with it, and we fail to see our failures as assets and our constraints as sources of innovation and learning. Passion becomes something to monetize. The real love of creating something that matters is squashed by this monetary push. Instead of creating something for its own sake, we have to make it a career. We compare how it goes to the bliss of how it is supposed to be. Suddenly, it will go off course, and the assumption becomes that it must not be a true passion. So a better passion must be discovered. And getting better at something is less important than feeling good. We do not like the idea of a deeper practice. Beethoven found his best capacity after 10,000 hours, or 10 years of engagement. Look at any hero you respect or successful person, and you'll see more failures at first that bridge to where they are today. These constraints and downturns shaped their learning process. Very little inspiration, positive thinking, inner cheerleading were used. Instead, they made a deep commitment to learning. The process always takes a different course than what is expected. Determination substitutes the formative process of becoming masterful at something. People who require a lot of determination are not very good at what they do. Quitting early sets in when determination becomes the fix. Passion is then obscured by discomfort. The tolerance for this period of skill, assimilation, falls apart, causing a backslide and passage to finding a better passion, one that is easier, more fun than something hard to create. Mystical answers about the universal messages, soul journeys, and awakenings are used to attempt to explain the walls being encountered instead of using them to generate new ways around them through innovation. Another consequence of the follow your passion parade is self-interest. Following your passion assumes that you follow what is your own. Yet there are deeper implications to the effects this has on the whole. If I am a fisherman in Nova Scotia on the banks following my passion, so are all my competitors that are wanting a common resource, the fish. Over time, this individual following of passion leads to tragedy. No more fish are available to anyone. This happens probably daily for you on the freeway. No one wakes up to create traffic, but together our passions to get somewhere slow all of us down collectively because of our individual passion. We lose the common resource of speed because we're all working on one thing, our self-interest. Relationship. Could our passion be collective as well as personal? Is there a part of us, a deeper source from which caring for the whole is greater than the puny passion of our self-interest? Is there a grander will pregnant within us that connects us to something far bigger and greater in our life-building process? The answer is yes. Relationships are the organizing forces of the universe. Yes, the inner work and contemplation have to do with listening from farther lands, from somewhere other than self. Puny self-interested whims and impulses, gratifications, lose their charm to longings that orient greater life. I know this because I coach people, and I have them write their eulogies when we begin the direction-setting process. And not one of these individuals leaves out the difference they've had on other people's lives. In fact, it's what they hunger for the most. Contribution. Contribution becomes an inherent driver in what one wants to bring into the world. If pursuing one's passion for creating an alternative world matters to someone, then this imagined world stems from the nature of what we are. Compassionate, empathetic, generous, kind, curious. These qualities exist within the ground of our being and embody the generative love and creative fire that one can occupy. This source of passion is one of coherence, of co-connectedness and symmetry within a higher universal plan and order. Joseph Campbell referred to this as matching one's heartbeat with the heartbeat of the universe. He described what being heralded to one's calling involves. Perhaps we all have a gift, a blessing, or a sacred project that belongs to the world. Our life journey is coming back home to this place to take in the ecosystem of being our true self and to our great work. Perhaps the connection to this mature love and reverence for the whole involves an inner transformation from letting go of something old to setting foot into something new. That not yet embodied knowledge or reality that is revealed. And maybe it is the signpost of a second half of life beginning anew after the first. It is a summoning and yielding to our future capital S self. It is a future self that is communing with our current S self, our destined being. Context. The context in which we live today contains data that shapes our chosen path of how we choose to use this precious gift of life. Suicides are 3 times as high as murder. A list of statistics and disturbing figures about the spiritual, ecological, and the economic divide is almost too hard to acknowledge in modern life. We are on a race to the bottom, collectively creating a world that nobody wants. It makes me wonder where creations come from. They are not locatable by scientific explanation in the brain. Perhaps creations come from space itself. Structures emerge from silence. Much like a galaxy amasses from particles, the universe in which we live participates with our intention of organizing upon itself the very thing we call life as interdependence. Certain energies and patterns of order are enacting along with us in dynamic ways that are invisible and visible through the relationships that take place. The properties in something are definable via the patterns of interaction at play. We have reality to see with. Can we meet in a conversation with the future, waving its hand at us in our current reality? Can we make room for a future that has not come into being yet and operate from it now, only seeing shining coming in from the cracks? Is there a conversation needed at the edge of this untold future as we walk toward it? This edge of everything? Can we see a path for ourselves by walking into this future? This is courage. And how does this unfamiliar future come into existence by our meeting it? I think this is leadership. You are listening to The Catalyst, which is an audiobook version of a 3-year learning journey of a book that I chose to write for my 3 children, Michael, Hannah, and Camila, my greatest teachers. It would be an honor to have you go online and purchase it. If you like what you're hearing here, you can do that by going to lulu.com, Lulu.com, and search for The Catalyst by John Davidson. It is a hardcover book. It's beautiful. It's great as a coffee table edition, and you can pick it up anytime in any particular place. You can go to any page, and I'm sure you'll find some wisdom there. I would be honored if you would purchase my book. It is at lulu.com. Thank you. Let's continue now with The Catalyst. Alertness. Yes, alertness brings us back into nowhere. This is the place from which creations begin. Yeah, it's a blank canvas. We start with nothing. The past has no hand on the creative process. Specks become prenatal seeds, which, if followed and trusted, become the pillars of the future, standing in need of what is trying to happen. Something is on its way out of us as something new and still indistinct is on its way in. We see the future through the tiny cracks and openings that shine in the present moment. We pay attention with our quality of awareness open, not closed. Thought is held off from editing what is there. We bring our deepest aspirations into each step of the mystery that we live through and fall toward as if it were the center of something, whispering a sacred project into our hearts. We put faith in action, unmediated faith, and we unblock our reception in the walk. Unblocked reception, unmediated faith. We're provoking ourselves to take the quest, a meaningful leap into the areas that we are uncertain. This is creating. As there are no guarantees, we are creating the future, we are not predicting one. But motivation starts in the middle. And you can see that passion is a building process over time. So as that faith and goals co-produce, this sort of motivation begins to expand. Power comes from the goal, the guiding idea, not you. You become interested in something other than yourself to see who you really are. You internalize what you love most as you start towards something new that is not entirely loved yet. Indeed, falling in love is fun, romantic, it's easy, but the constraints are inevitable later on. Despite this, people stall, they wait, they prepare, they qualify and organize instead of starting now. The only way to become great at building a business is to create one. The only way to build an alternative world is to create one. We create the future, we don't predict it, but we learn as we create it. You do not need blistering, mind-numbing, world-crushing passion to do this. Willpower is not passion. You just need an idea that matters to you and the decision to act in an instant. Lead out with the what and the how follows. Ready, fire, aim. You do not need to be worthy of any passion. Passion does not ascend from worth. Deserving and desiring are not linked and do not need to be in the creative process. When you are creating, you are not focused on who you are or what is wrong with you. You are focused on your creations, not you. This angers human potential zealots who argue against getting in touch with your personal power, working towards self-improvement, and removing your issues as if all this work is irrelevant to being better at creating what you want. My response is to make all that a hobby. Make creating what matters to you the centerpiece of what organizes action in your life, and leave yourself alone. You do not need a shrink to learn to play the piano. Your mental health is not as powerful as your heart's intelligence. Living a life you care a lot about is far different than improving yourself. They are not linked. Self-love is not loving something you want to bring into the world. You cannot love you and generate what matters to you. This is not positive thinking or mental toughness, training, or brainwashing. Artists do not meddle with themselves when they're creating something. Music is not created from self-improvement. It comes into the world out of the love for the music itself, for its own sake. It's almost so simple, we make it hard. We meddle and bend our minds around ultra-clear visions instead of internalizing them as we go along. Stop finding your passion and start creating something that matters. Take your self-monitoring of how passionate you are off the table. Focus more on the actions in support of creating what matters to you. Quit focusing on how these actions make you feel or whether they are hard. Learn from them. Be aware of the process of creating. You will have more passion once you have created something that matters to you. Remember, you don't predict the future, you create one. It's not about commitment, because you don't need to confess to yourself over and over again that you're so committed. If you do, you probably don't trust yourself, and that's something to be honest about. Why would you? Because you haven't created what you're wanting yet. Doubt is very good, but it's very different than choice. Commitment and choice. Commitment is you don't have options. It's like an obligation, but choice is you do have the option to create or not create. That gives you range and it gives you fluency. So after all these years, I've come to realize that passion is never lost or found anywhere. There is no it in shining armor discovery. Passion is considered, not discovered. It is conceived and germinated from what you want for its own sake. What mattered to you 10 years ago may not matter to you now. And what mattered to you now may not matter ever again. You can change your mind at any time. What people really want is not to find their passion, but to be involved in what they're doing. They want to build things that matter to them. They want to enter the next moment with the knowledge of what matters most. This may not mean qualifying for the big league game or being a billionaire. It means beginning right now with simple things. What matters to you? The point of entry starts with the choice. You are not alienated from your nature either, your true self, your work, and your relationships. All problems you have are insoluble anyway. You can only outgrow them by following wiser and better urges to attend to. So be still. Be still with relaxed attentiveness. You do not need to know how. Just choose to be still. End your love affair with life's breakneck speed. If passion were a destiny standing in need of you, it would find you there and pick you up like a hitchhiker with a light backpack. You do not bring much to the road because you headed out, dared yourself into the mystery, and emptied yourself into creating out of the inkling that quelled into your being. Alertness and presence are the disciplines of familiarity. You pray from your heart and hear the voices call you forward. It is your sacred project heralding from the distance, asking you to get out of your mind. Every thought fails to seduce you. Let go of the need to understand anything. Open your heart to clue into what is needed in your life as the aperture to the sacred, to the love that you are, the love that created you. And this is your destined being. This is the part of you that you have not claimed yet. Wholeness is the indicator to what you are meant to do. And that sense of purpose comes from the moment of choosing to create something that you want. What's important. It is not about anyone else. It's not about what they will teach you. There are no solutions from the outside. You have the truth within yourself. The answers do not come from out. They come from inside, from consideration. You will find out and learn when your desires lead your every step outward, and that which will be brought out of you will save you. Standing for something spikes anxiety. And then you know you're on the path. Because you're nervous. Because a nervous system is not meant for creating, it's meant for repeating. Nervous systems are rigged to bring us into homeostasis because things look familiar, not change. Passion is out, involvement's in. Know what matters to you and act upon it. Bring something to the world that no one else can. And please give us the gift in you that belongs to us, your community. We are waiting for you to trust yourself, to trust the choice making within you out of the generative love that you have as the carrier to bring into being that which really matters to you. And it's very personal. It doesn't need to be justified. It just matters. You've been listening to The Catalyst with John Davidson. If you'd like to purchase the Catalyst book, just go down below this video, and in the description part you will find a link. You can click there for lulu.com, and you'll find the hardcover of the book The Catalyst that I have written for my 3 children. I so appreciate the opportunity to be on this learning journey with you, and I encourage you to continue listening to these audio chapters of The Catalyst. Thank you so much.